When I was 23 years old, I joined a cult. It is not the kind of cult that you're thinking of, but in every single way, this organization resembled a cult. Wikipedia defines a cult as a group which is typically led by a charismatic and self-appointed leader who tightly controls its members by giving them a set of practices and beliefs to adopt. This is exactly what the company that I used to work for was like. They created this culture of extreme devotion to the leaders and to the organization. They followed the principles from this book, The 48 Laws of Power, and I'll explain to you how they did it. But before I get to that, first let me introduce myself. My name is Andrew. My mission is to make men strong again, starting with myself. I make authentic self-improvement videos for young men, so if that's something you're into, make sure to hit the subscribe button. In the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene lists 5 easy steps to create a cult-like following. And when I went through this book, I started to realize that the company that I worked for was in every single way a cult. Here's how. The first rule is keep it vague, keep it simple. We had a very charismatic leader. He had this mystical aura. Whenever you saw him, you would see this intensity in his eyes. And at the same time, when he would speak, he had this ability to present things in such a way that people were captivated and drawn into him. He often took trips to go to Costa Rica to do ayahuasca. And so he came back and he was the guru of this cult. And his name was Don, which is interesting because if you look at a lot of gangs, for example, Don Corleone,
I don't even think to call me Godfather.
he would say things that sounded really good and at the same time had no real meaning. For example, greatness lays in the unknown. All of these things where you take in, it sounds so deep and profound, but really it lacks substance. There is no real meaning to these things without the context. People have a need to attach onto things that are not founded in reality. Step 2 to creating a cult is emphasize the visual instead of the intellectual. This group of people understood how important it is to keep an image. So in order to emphasize the visual, they would do things that were unspoken but were noticed by everybody. For example, all of the managers drove a Tesla. And this is intentional, but they won't tell you that they forced the managers to drive a Tesla. All of the managers just happened to have one. There was always these spectacles of luxury. When I worked for this company, they would fly people out and they would always show us that they were flying people out.
These events are for you. Your jobs are so hard, and we put on these type of experiences so that you can recognize the love we have for you.
They had this thing called League TV, your regularly scheduled programming. Once a week, they turn off the lights. It's like you're in school. And we all just watched this TV, and this was how they spread their message of propaganda. It was brilliant, actually. Step 3 in creating a cult. Borrow the forms of structure from organized religion. They had what was called leadership core. When I went to Kenya and I visited this church, one thing I noticed is that they had very good organization and structure. One thing that they had was this council of elders, which is people that have reached this high level in the church, and because they have that high level, they have a certain set of privileges that other people don't have. They had their own meeting room where they would meet and discuss things behind closed doors. Step 4 in creating a cult. Disguise your source of income. This was brilliantly done by them. They tell us that all of their money comes from knocking on doors. They made over $1 million a year. Now, do I believe that a good portion of that comes from knocking on doors? Absolutely. However, nobody is with these people every single day. You can only get access to them every once in a while. They make money from the deals that we were selling, but they wouldn't tell us that unless you went up to them and explicitly asked them. They won't tell you clearly. You going out there and making money indirectly makes us money. So keep doing your job. Their job was to sell you on a vision, which is if you keep knocking these doors, eventually you'll get to our position in life. That allowed us to be even more devoted, because if we knew that they made only maybe 40% of their income from knocking doors, would we want to follow their advice? The 5th way that this company was like a cult, they set up an us versus them dynamic. Almost all the time when I was there was a competition that was going on. As soon as we got out of one competition, now we're going into the next one. Because what they need to do is they need to keep you connected to the group identity. There was this huge competition at the end of the year. They would create a real competition environment with real prizes. If you win, you get this.
One last set of prizes to give out. Let's do one final raffle. All right, here we go. This one is going to be Andrew Hangeth. Congrats, Andrew.
When I won, I got a 1 wheel. It's like $2,500. They sent it to my house. I didn't even believe it was real. But if you were always torn between what you desired and what you feared, you would go to work because you knew that if you couldn't have what you wanted, you would have the life that you didn't want. And it was just so clear how they were manipulating us. I'll go through really quickly some of the other laws in this book that I noticed that they were using. Creating compelling spectacles. They were always about visual things.
Yeah. I mean, where the fuck should I really even start?
Almost these dramatizations that they would do. Conceal your intentions. This one's obvious. You don't want people to know exactly why you're doing something. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Keep people in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. One of the other things too that they did was these ritualistic chants.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
They would have a chant at the beginning of every meeting to get people bought in. They want everybody to be bought in on their vision, and so do I. If you want to join my cult, it's the first link in the description. My group is a tribe of young men that are growing and becoming strong. If that sounds like something that you want to be a part of, hit that first link. I'll see you in there. Don't join a cult. Peace.